The morning I told my in-laws I'd gotten a promotion, my father-in-law sneered. "What's the point of a title when you still eat at my table?" My sister-in-law whispered loud enough for everyone. "Let's hope he doesn't start acting like he matters." I smiled, nodded, and quietly took a photo of their family calendar. That was 3 weeks ago. Yesterday, they found their entire schedule in the wrong hands. I didn't expect them to throw a party or even clap, but I also didn't expect silence. I didn't expect the look my father-in-law gave me, half pity, half smug, as if I'd said something embarrassing. That morning, I'd gotten up early to make breakfast for everyone. Pancakes, eggs, bacon, the usual Saturday routine when I was still staying at my wife's family's house. We were in between places. Our apartment lease had ended unexpectedly after a building sale, and her parents had offered their spare room just for a month. That was 4 months ago. My wife, Priya, said it was fine. Said it would save us money. Her parents were traditional, yes, but not mean. And besides, it was only temporary. But it never felt temporary for me. From the day we moved in, I was reminded, subtly and sometimes directly, that I was a guest, not family. That morning, I'd finally received official notice of my promotion. I was now a senior project manager at the tech company I'd worked at for 6 years. It was a big deal. I was finally moving into leadership. My salary would go up significantly, and I'd been told this role was a pipeline into upper management. So I told them over breakfast. Priya smiled politely, said that's great. Her mother gave me the same polite nod she always gave when she didn't know what to say. Her younger sister, Neera, was scrolling on her phone. And then, her father put his fork down. He looked me dead in the eye and said, "What's the point of a title when you still eat at my table?" He said it quietly, but loud enough that everyone heard. No one looked up. Neera smirked without looking away from her phone. And then she added, soft but clear enough to echo across the table, "Let's hope he doesn't start acting like he matters now." I stared at my plate. My hands went cold. I didn't speak. I just nodded once, smiled like it didn't bother me. That was always the game. Pretend you don't care. Keep the peace. Don't make your wife uncomfortable. But in my head, something clicked. Something small but final. After breakfast, while everyone was lounging in the living room and arguing about what to watch, I excused myself to use the bathroom. On my way, I passed the hallway where the family calendar was hung. It was always full, color-coded with doctor appointments, birthdays, Neera's law school class schedule, their family temple visits, even when the housekeeper came. I looked at it. Then, without thinking too hard, I pulled out my phone and took a photo. One clear shot. All the dates. All the places. All the times. I didn't know exactly what I'd do with it. Not then. But I knew this. They made it clear I wasn't family. That my achievements meant nothing. That I was, at best, tolerated. I'd worked hard, made sacrifices, stayed quiet, showed respect. And still, I was the man who ate at their table. So I decided I'd stop trying to be liked. I didn't need their approval. What I needed was patience. Over the next 3 weeks, I studied that calendar like it was a chessboard. They were creatures of routine. Her dad had a standing meeting every Friday morning at a country club across town. Her mom met friends every second Tuesday for brunch. Neera had mock court every Thursday night. They all had their rhythm. Their life worked because their schedule worked. So I started poking holes in it. Quietly, gently. No one suspected a thing. It started small. I created a fake Facebook profile using a generic name and used it to message one of her dad's business contacts, pretending to confirm a meeting at a different time. Just enough to cause a missed connection. Then I reminded the housekeeper the wrong date. That led to a day where no one could find clean towels. Then the bigger things. I used the info from the calendar to intercept an email about Neera's internship application. I submitted a fake withdrawal notice from a lookalike email domain. She never got the call back. She thought it was a mistake. A system error. I knew it wasn't noble. But I didn't care. Each time something went wrong, I watched their expressions. Her dad started snapping more. Neera got more withdrawn. Her mom tried to keep the mood up, but I noticed her crying quietly once in the kitchen when no one else was around. I wasn't trying to destroy them. Just bend their world a little. Enough to make them feel the kind of smallness they made me feel. Priya didn't notice. Or maybe she chose not to. We were both tired. I stopped telling her about work. I didn't share the wins anymore. I just watched, waited, and kept going. Last night, something happened. Her dad came home furious. Apparently, a major client meeting he'd been preparing for had the wrong address. He showed up to an empty office suite. The client went with another firm. He stormed around the house, shouting about sabotage. Priya tried to calm him down, but he was on edge. And that's when I knew. They were starting to feel it. The same helplessness I'd swallowed for months. And I wasn't done yet. The next morning, I heard raised voices downstairs before I was even out of bed. I didn't go down right away. I stayed in the hallway just out of sight, listening. Her dad was pacing, muttering about being targeted and how this family has become a joke. He kept bringing up the client he lost. Said the reschedule notice looked legit, but when his team checked the email, the domain was off by one letter. They were suspicious, but no one had answers. I watched him from the hallway mirror, his shoulders hunched, hair messy, his usual calm gone. I'd never seen him shaken before. Not like this. That same week, Neera got a call from her law professor saying her absence from Thursday's mock trial would cost her a grade drop. She swore she'd gotten the reschedule notice by email. She kept saying, "That's what it said." I didn't make it up. But the professor didn't believe her. That's when I started seeing cracks in their house. Not physical ones, but the kind that come when people stop trusting what they know. Her mom began second-guessing every plan. She asked me if I'd seen her calendar, said she felt like things were being moved. I played dumb. I said, "No, hasn't it always been like that?" That's when I started noticing the little things they didn't even know I'd set up. I had access to their Wi-Fi, of course. I'd been there for months. And since Neera used the same password across most of her stuff, I guessed her Gmail in 2 tries. From there, I planted quiet seeds. Small messages sent, deleted, changed. A dentist appointment canceled. Her group project moved to the wrong day. Her dad's assistant texted him one morning saying, "Didn't know you wanted to push back the site visit. Thought it was urgent?" He looked confused. He said, "I never told you that." She sent a screenshot. It was from his email. But it wasn't. It was from the one I made that looked almost the same. I didn't just want them to suffer. I wanted them to question their own memory, their own routine, their own sense of control. Then one night, Priya came to bed and asked me something that made my stomach tighten. She said, "Do you think someone's messing with my family? My dad thinks someone's doing this on purpose." But who would? I shrugged and said, "Why would anyone bother?" She didn't push, but I could feel her watching me more. One evening, I overheard her dad and Neera arguing in the kitchen. She was crying, really crying, saying, "You always think it's me. You think I'm lazy or stupid. You never believe me." He said something like, "I just want to understand what's happening. Why all of a sudden no one can manage basic tasks in this house." Then he looked over and saw me standing near the sink. He paused, eyes narrowed. Like for a second, something clicked. "You've been quiet lately," he said. I nodded. "Just tired." He kept looking. 2 days later, the housekeeper quit. She left a handwritten note saying the household was too unstable and that she was being blamed for things I didn't do. Apparently, she'd gotten a message rescheduling her cleaning day, then got yelled at for missing it. It wasn't from her mom. It was from the same spoofed email I'd used before. The house was unraveling. And then I slipped. I didn't realize Priya had used our shared iPad that morning to check something. I forgot to clear the tabs. That night she walked into the bedroom holding it. Her face was blank. She said, "Why is there a Gmail account here with my dad's name? But it's not his email." I froze. I said, "Must have been an old client account. I don't know." She didn't respond. She just placed the iPad on the table and walked out. That's when I knew I didn't have much time. The strange thing is, I wasn't scared. I'd never felt calmer. Because they were finally seeing what it was like. To be doubted. To be blamed. To not be believed. To feel small and helpless even inside your own home. They hadn't even reached the worst part yet. That part was coming. And this time, it wouldn't be hidden. 2 days after Priya saw the fake email account, she stopped talking to me. Not in a dramatic way. She still made coffee in the morning. Still left her laundry near the basket. But she barely looked me in the eye. Something had shifted. She wasn't accusing me. Not yet. But she was circling the idea, like she was scared of what she might find if she looked closer. Then came the twist I didn't see coming. Her father called a family meeting. It was a Sunday morning. Usually, everyone did their own thing. Temple, errands, phone calls. But that morning, he asked everyone to sit in the living room. Priya looked nervous. Neera looked annoyed. Her mom brought a notepad like it was a staff meeting. Her dad stood and said, "Someone in this house is lying." He didn't yell. He sounded tired, like a man who had spent weeks trying to make sense of nonsense. He said things had been going wrong in ways that made no sense, and that either there was serious disorganization or someone was intentionally causing confusion. He listed the things that had happened: the missed meetings, the calendar changes, the emails no one remembered sending. Then he pulled out a printed sheet of paper and handed it to Priya. She looked at it, her eyes scanning fast, then slow. She passed it to me without a word. It was a list of Gmail login IPs and device histories. Someone in his office had helped him pull it from his actual account. And there it was, an unknown IP address logged into a near-identical Gmail account the same night I had created it. The same time zone, same town. Then he said something that made my stomach turn. "We hired someone. A friend. Cybersecurity expert. Quiet, off the record." He didn't say the name. But 2 days later, I saw it for myself. An old co-worker of mine from my tech company, Mark. I trained him years ago when he first joined as an intern. We weren't close friends, but we'd had a few beers together back then. Apparently, he'd stayed in touch with her dad's business circle. And now he was the one combing through metadata, comparing timestamps, checking linked IPs. That's when I knew I had a window. Maybe a week. Maybe less. I needed to move fast. But then came another twist. Neera confronted me privately. I was in the garage, trying to reset the Wi-Fi router to kill the logs before Mark pulled anything useful. She stepped in, crossed her arms, and said, "I don't care what you're doing. I just want to know why." I didn't answer. She looked different. Not smug. Not bratty. Just tired. She said, "You think I don't know how we treated you? I do. I know we act like you're nothing. But this? Why go this far?" I looked at her for a long time, and I said the first honest thing I'd said in weeks. "Because you made me feel like nothing for months." Every day I sat at that table and heard how I didn't belong. She didn't argue. Then she whispered something I didn't expect. "I think you should leave before he finds proof. Because if he does, he won't just kick you out. He'll ruin you." She walked away. And just like that, the story turned again. Because now I had a warning. A strange, quiet mercy from the last person I ever expected. But I wasn't leaving. Not yet. Because there was still one date on the calendar that hadn't arrived. And that one was important. The date I was waiting for was July 14th. It had been circled in green on their family calendar since before we moved in. Written in thick marker. Board dinner, 7 p.m., Hotel Ashmere. It was the biggest dinner of the year for her father's business, where investors, senior partners, and potential buyers gathered. Her father never missed it. He dressed for it like a wedding. Called it the real power table. I remembered it because during one of our first weeks there, he had told me over lunch, "That's the night real men talk business. Not just get promotions and think they've arrived." He had smiled when he said it, but it stung. Like everything else with him, there was always that sneer hiding behind the politeness. I had planned everything around that date. In the week leading up, things escalated fast. Mark, the cybersecurity guy, had started asking more questions. Priya stopped sharing her laptop with me. Her father was constantly on calls behind closed doors. I had one last chance to finish what I started. Here's what I did. The day before the board dinner, I made one final change. I created an auto-forward rule from her dad's business account, using the spoofed one, and sent a single email to every person attending that dinner. It read, "Urgent. Board dinner postponed to July 21st. Apologies for the short notice. Unexpected conflict. New location will follow." It looked real. I matched his tone. I matched the email signature. I even added a fake CC to his assistant to make it believable. Then I waited. He came downstairs in a navy blue suit, tie perfect, shoes shining. He looked proud, confident, even smiled a little when he saw me. "Try not to change the Wi-Fi password while I'm gone," he said. A joke, but not really. Neera stayed upstairs. Priya watched him go from the hallway, her face blank. He left at 6:40. By 7:30, he was still at the hotel lobby. Alone. No one came. At 7:52, he started calling people. No one answered. At 8:10, he finally got through to one investor who said, "We're meeting next week. Why are you there tonight?" He didn't answer. He just hung up. At 8:15, his assistant called him, panicked. She had just seen a reply chain from the fake email. At 8:19, He figured it out. At 8:26, I got a call from Priya. I didn't answer. What happened after he came home a little after 9 p.m.? I wasn't there. I'd packed a small bag and left the moment I saw the panic start. I left Priya a short letter. Not an apology, just the truth. I told her everything. How I felt sitting in their house. How small they made me feel. How her silence, even if it wasn't cruel, still cut deep. How I didn't do this because I wanted to ruin them. I did it because they acted like I didn't matter, and I needed them to feel that. And I admitted I went too far. Not because I regret hurting them, but because I became something I don't want to be. Sneaky. Cold. A mirror of her father. That was the worst part of it all. The fake email blew up everything. The board was furious. A few of them had flown in early just for the meeting and had to reschedule their entire week. One partner pulled out of a deal, calling the whole thing chaotic and childish. Her dad didn't lose his company, but he lost his standing. He stepped down for health reasons 2 months later. Everyone in their circle knew it was shame. The cybersecurity guy, Mark, he figured out the full trail, but I was already gone. I had wiped what I could, but some of it stuck. I lost my job. Quietly. HR didn't want a scene, but the internal investigation was enough. I moved in with an old friend. Worked part-time at a warehouse while I got my bearings. No more titles. No meetings. Just sweat and silence. She called me 3 weeks later. Said she got the letter. Said she'd read it 4 times. I don't know if I hate you, she said. But I think I should. I said I understood. She asked if I wanted to try again. I said I couldn't. Not because I didn't love her, but because something broke between us that couldn't be fixed by moving out or saying sorry. We both let things rot for too long. She emailed me. Just once. All it said was, he still thinks it was some competitor. He can't believe it was you. But I can. I hope you sleep better now. Months later, I got a small envelope in the mail. No return address. Inside was a photo of their hallway. The calendar was gone. Just a blank wall. No schedules. No control. Just space. And for the first time in a long time, I slept through the night.